Imagine living without modern water filters, fancy plumbing, or chemical treatments, yet still drinking some of the cleanest, freshest water on the planet. Sounds impossible, right? But the Amish have mastered this art for generations, tapping into nature's secrets in ways that would make even high-tech survivalists jealous. Their water isn't just clean, it's naturally pure, flowing straight from the earth in a way that's both genius and ridiculously simple. So how do they do it? How do they get crystal clear water without modern filters? Stick around. What you're about to learn might just change the way you see water forever. Number 1. The power of springs and wells. If there's one thing the Amish have mastered, it's working with nature instead of against it. And when it comes to water, they don't just settle for any old puddle or stream. They tap into the Earth's hidden reservoirs, where the cleanest, purest water flows. No fancy plumbing, no chemical additives, just good, old-fashioned, natural filtration. Let's break it down. First, we have deep wells. And we're not talking about those shallow DIY garden wells that dry up after a few hot weeks. Amish wells go deep, sometimes hundreds of feet down, piercing through layers of rock, clay, and sand to reach ancient underground water sources. The deeper you go, the less chance of surface contaminants sneaking in. Think of it like nature's own purification process. Rainwater seeps into the ground, traveling through layers of earth that act like a massive organic Brita filter. By the time it reaches the aquifer, it's been naturally cleansed of bacteria, chemicals, and debris. No need for carbon filters, reverse osmosis machines, or chlorine treatments. But let's not forget about placement, because this isn't just about digging a hole and hoping for the best. The Amish are incredibly strategic about where they drill. They study the land, look at how water flows after rainfall, and even rely on old-world techniques like dowsing. Yep, water witching, where someone walks the land with a Y-shaped stick, supposedly sensing underground water. Sounds like something out of a folklore book, right? But believe it or not, even modern well drillers sometimes swear by it. And for the Amish, who avoid unnecessary technology, it's a tried and true way to locate water sources that have sustained families for generations. Now, wells are great, but what if you have a natural spring? That's like hitting the water jackpot. Springs are underground water sources that naturally bubble up to the surface, often pushed out by underground pressure. And here's the best part. They constantly refresh themselves, meaning the water is always moving, always being replenished, and always staying clean. The Amish know the value of a good spring, and they don't just leave them exposed to the elements. Many will build protective stone enclosures around them, keeping out dirt, leaves, and any curious wildlife looking for a drink. Some even create small, gravity-fed water systems, channeling spring water through underground pipes directly into their homes. That's right, clean, flowing water without a single electric pump. And let's talk minerals. Unlike processed city water that's been stripped of its natural goodness, spring and deep well water are packed with essential minerals like calcium, magnesium, and potassium. Ever notice how store-bought bottled water brags about added electrolytes for taste? Nature already did that, it just didn't slap a price tag on it. But here's where it gets really interesting. Because of how their water sources are set up, Amish communities don't have to deal with the same contamination issues that plague modern systems. No lead pipes corroding over time, no industrial chemicals leaching into the supply, no pharmaceuticals making their way into drinking water. And since their wells are private, they aren't at the mercy of municipal water treatment plants or government regulations that can change overnight. The result? Water so clean and refreshing, you'd probably swear it came from an overpriced glass bottle at a high-end grocery store. But for the Amish, it's just another day of living simply, working with the land, and trusting nature to do what it's always done best. Number 2, gravity-fed water systems. Picture this: no electricity, no pumps, no gadgets. Just gravity doing all the work. Many Amish homes use gravity-fed water systems that move water from natural springs to their homes without needing electric-powered pressure pumps. How? Simple physics. They place water sources at higher elevations, letting nature's downward pull send it flowing through pipes. It's like those fancy gravity-powered water filters people buy for camping, except way bigger and built right into their land. The result? Water that moves effortlessly through their homesteads without the need for modern tech. And there's something kind of genius about letting nature do the heavy lifting for free. But let's dig deeper into this. How do they ensure water keeps flowing consistently, even during dry seasons? Many Amish communities use strategically placed storage tanks that capture and hold excess water. These tanks act as reservoirs, maintaining a steady supply even when rainfall is scarce. Think of it like a giant off-grid backup system, ensuring there's always water when needed. And get this, some Amish take it a step further by creating underground cisterns. These massive storage units are insulated by the earth, keeping the water cool, fresh, and uncontaminated. They use smart placement to maximize water retention and prevent evaporation, making every drop count. It's water conservation at its finest, and it's been working for generations. Now you might be wondering, what about water pressure? If there are no electric pumps, how does water make it all the way through their homes? Simple: elevation. By placing water sources at higher altitudes, gravity naturally pushes the water downward through a network of pipes, delivering pressure similar to what you'd expect from a modern system. It's like having nature as your personal plumber. Always reliable, never sending a bill. And let's not forget the creativity involved. Some Amish families use hand-dug channels to direct water from springs into storage basins before sending it through their homes. Others use old-fashioned wooden or metal piping systems that, despite their simplicity, function flawlessly. These aren't just random techniques. They are time-tested, refined over generations, and impressively effective. The beauty of gravity-fed systems isn't just in their simplicity, it's in their sustainability. With no electricity, no fuel, and minimal maintenance required, these systems can last decades without needing major repairs. Compare that to modern plumbing, which constantly requires upkeep, and you start to see the appeal. It's low cost, high efficiency, and entirely eco-friendly. So the next time you turn on your faucet and take water pressure for granted, think about the Amish and their ingenious, self-sufficient methods. They've cracked the code on harnessing nature's power without relying on modern tech. And it's something we could all learn from. Who wouldn't want a free, endlessly reliable water system straight from the earth? Number 3. Hand pumps and windmill magic. Hand pumps and windmills might seem like relics of a bygone era, but in Amish communities, they're the backbone of a self-sufficient water system. These aren't just quaint, old-fashioned contraptions for nostalgia's sake. They're brilliant, practical, and built to last. Hand pumps, for instance, are like the ultimate no-frills water dispensers. No buttons, no wires, no complicated parts. Just a sturdy lever and a bit of muscle power. You push, you pull, and boom. Fresh water straight from the depths of the earth. The Amish rely on these because they're virtually indestructible. Unlike modern plumbing systems that can break down with a single power outage, a hand pump will keep working no matter what. No electricity, no problem. But let's not forget the real showstopper, windmills. If you thought these towering, creaky machines were just for postcard-perfect countryside scenes, think again. The Amish use wind power to pump water just like they did centuries ago, proving that sometimes the best solutions don't need an upgrade. These windmills do all the heavy lifting, harnessing nature's energy to draw water from deep underground. And here's where it gets even more fascinating. Some of these windmills are hooked up to massive cisterns or water towers. ensuring a steady supply of water even when the wind dies down. Think of it like a battery pack for your plumbing system, except instead of electricity, it's storing good old-fashioned H2O. The best part is that the whole setup is self-sustaining. No electric bill, no maintenance headaches, just clean, naturally sourced water on demand. What's even cooler is that Amish windmills are often made to last generations. They use durable materials, keep the design simple, and rely on mechanical ingenuity rather than complex tech. When something needs fixing, it's usually a quick adjustment rather than a costly repair. Try saying that about your modern-day water pump. And if you're wondering about those days when the wind refuses to cooperate, well, that's why they keep the hand pumps around. It's all about redundancy. If the windmill isn't pulling its weight, a few strong-arm pumps will get the job done. It's a foolproof, no-fail system. It's crazy to think that while most of us panic at the thought of a power outage shutting off our water supply, the Amish don't even flinch. Their approach is refreshingly simple. Let nature do the work. Whether it's using gravity, wind, or their own hands, they've mastered the art of drawing water without the need for modern plumbing. And honestly, that's something we could all learn from. So next time you see a windmill spinning lazily in the countryside, just remember, it's not just a pretty sight. It's a powerhouse of Amish engineering, quietly pumping water and proving that sometimes the oldest solutions are still the best. Number 4. Rainwater collection. The rainwater collection isn't just a survivalist hack or some eco-friendly trend. It's an ancient, practical, and downright genius way to secure a fresh water supply. And the Amish? They've turned it into an art form. Forget high-tech filtration systems or fancy purifiers. These folks are harvesting the sky in a way that's both simple and incredibly effective. So how does it work? Picture this. Every raindrop that lands on an Amish roof isn't just disappearing into the ground, it's being put to use. The rooftops act like giant collection trays, funneling water through gutters and downspouts, sending it straight into underground cisterns that can hold thousands of gallons. That's right, thousands. This isn't just filling up a couple of rain barrels for watering plants. It's a full-scale operation designed to provide clean, reliable water year-round. And don't think for a second that it's just a free-for-all where every drop is gulped down straight from the sky. The Amish have some serious strategies to keep their rainwater pristine. First, they let the initial rainfall wash away dust, leaves, and anything else that might have settled on the roof. Some systems even have a first flush diverter, a simple yet brilliant mechanism that discards the first batch of rain to ensure that only the cleanest water makes it into storage. But what about filtering? That's where things get even more interesting. Instead of relying on store-bought filters or chemical treatments, many Amish use natural filtration techniques. Some layer sand, gravel, and charcoal in their collection systems to sift out impurities. Others let gravity do the work by allowing sediment to settle at the bottom of the cistern before drawing from the cleaner water above. It's like nature's own purification system, built right into their way of life. And let's talk about storage. These cisterns are often buried underground, where the earth acts as natural insulation, keeping the water cool and fresh even during scorching summers. No need for refrigeration and no risk of plastic contamination. Just pure, naturally stored rainwater, ready for whenever it's needed. Some Amish even have multiple cisterns, ensuring they have enough supply for drinking, cooking, cleaning, and even watering crops during dry spells. But here's what really makes this whole system so brilliant. It's completely free. No water bills, no dependency on municipal supplies, no worries about infrastructure failures. While the rest of the world panics over droughts, rising water costs, and pollution, the Amish are sitting back, collecting their own clean water straight from the heavens. It's a reminder that sometimes the best solutions aren't the most high-tech. They're the ones that have been right in front of us all along. Rain isn't just something that falls from the sky. It's a gift. And the Amish? They know exactly how to make the most of it. Number 5. The secret of sand and charcoal filtration. If you think clean water requires some high-tech filtration system with blinking lights and complicated buttons, think again. The Amish have mastered a method that's been around for centuries: sand and charcoal filtration. It's so simple, yet so effective, that even modern water purification systems still use the same principles today. So how does it work? Imagine pouring a glass of dirty water through a layer of fine sand. As the water trickles down, the sand traps dirt, debris, and other unwanted particles. It's like nature's own strainer, catching anything that doesn't belong. But that's just the first step. Beneath the sand, there's an even bigger secret: charcoal. Now, charcoal isn't just for backyard barbecues. When used in filtration, it's like a magnet for toxins. It absorbs impurities, removes some bacteria, and even eliminates certain chemicals. Ever wonder why activated carbon filters are in everything from fancy water pitchers to high-end air purifiers? Because charcoal is a natural powerhouse when it comes to purification. And the Amish? They've been using it long before it became trendy. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Unlike store-bought filters that need replacing every few months, these Amish filtration setups can last for years with proper maintenance. They occasionally replace the sand and refresh the charcoal, but there's no need for expensive cartridges or constant upkeep. It's a low-maintenance, high-efficiency system that just keeps working. No wires, no batteries, no stress. And let's not forget how versatile it is. While most people rely on municipal water systems or pricey filtration units, the Amish are purifying their own water for free. Whether it's rainwater, well water, or even stream water, this method can make it safe to drink without needing modern chemicals or gadgets. In fact, some emergency preparedness experts swear by sand and charcoal filtration for survival situations. The Amish? They've been doing it as part of everyday life. What's even cooler is how scalable this method is. Some Amish homes use small, household-sized filters, while others have entire underground filtration pits that process large amounts of water. It's all about adapting the system to their needs. And because it doesn't rely on electricity, it works 24/7, whether the grid is up or not. It's kind of wild when you think about it. While most of the world is constantly upgrading their water purification tech, the Amish are sticking with a method that's been working for centuries. And honestly, it's hard to argue with the results. The next time you take a sip of clean, filtered water, just remember, you might be using the same science the Amish have been perfecting for generations. Number 6. Avoiding modern contaminants. If there's one thing the Amish understand better than most, it's that the best way to keep water clean is to not pollute it in the first place. Sounds simple, right? But in today's world where chemicals, pesticides, and industrial waste are everywhere, keeping water sources pure is no small feat. While modern society is constantly scrambling to filter out contaminants, the Amish take a different approach. They just don't let those pollutants in to begin with. Take farming, for example. In industrial agriculture, synthetic fertilizers, pesticides, and herbicides are dumped onto fields in massive quantities. And guess where all those chemicals end up? That's right, seeping into the ground, running into streams, and ultimately contaminating the water supply. The Amish, on the other hand, practice organic, chemical-free farming. They rely on crop rotation, composting, and natural fertilizers like manure to nourish their soil. No toxic runoff, no harmful residues, just clean, healthy land that protects the purity of their water. And it's not just about farming. The Amish are incredibly mindful of what goes down their drains. While most modern households are filled with detergents, artificial cleaning agents, and other chemicals that eventually make their way into the groundwater, the Amish use natural soaps and biodegradable cleaners. Some even make their own from simple, non-toxic ingredients. It's a small change, but when an entire community does it, the impact on water quality is huge. Then there's waste management. Many Amish homes use composting toilets or simple septic systems instead of complex sewage treatment plants. Why? Because they understand that human waste, if handled properly, can be a resource rather than a problem. By keeping waste separate from their water sources and allowing it to break down naturally, they avoid the kind of contamination issues that plague modern water systems. And here's a real eye-opener. Since the Amish live without many industrial conveniences, they don't have to worry about pollutants from things like manufacturing plants, gas stations, or waste treatment facilities. Their way of life naturally eliminates many of the biggest culprits of water contamination. The result? While modern society battles chemical spills and microplastics in drinking water, the Amish enjoy some of the cleanest, purest water around. It's not magic, it's just common sense. Protect your land, avoid unnecessary chemicals, and let nature take care of the rest. Number 7. Boiling and homemade purification. When in doubt, boil it out. That's the Amish motto when it comes to questionable water sources. And honestly, they're onto something. Boiling is one of the oldest, most foolproof ways to purify water, and it doesn't require any fancy equipment. Just a pot, a fire, and a little patience. The process is simple, but incredibly effective. Bring water to a rolling boil for at least a minute, or longer at higher altitudes, and you'll wipe out nearly all bacteria, viruses, and parasites. No electricity? No problem. The Amish often use wood-burning stoves or open flames to get the job done. It's an old-school approach that still works today, whether you're on a self-sufficient farm or lost in the wilderness. But let's be real. Boiling isn't always the most convenient option. Waiting for water to cool down before drinking? Not exactly instant gratification. That's why some Amish communities have alternative methods up their sleeves. One of those tricks? Good old-fashioned sedimentation. Instead of chugging murky water straight from a questionable source, they let gravity do some of the work. By storing water in a container and letting it sit undisturbed, heavier particles and impurities gradually sink to the bottom. After a few hours, or even overnight, the clearer water at the top can be carefully poured off, leaving the sludge behind. It's like a low-tech pre-filtering method that helps remove dirt and debris before further purification. But what about killing off anything microscopic? That's where a few drops of iodine come in. The Amish know that iodine isn't just for treating cuts. It's also a powerful water purifier. Just a couple of drops per quart of water can wipe out harmful microorganisms. And while iodine-treated water isn't exactly the tastiest beverage, it gets the job done when boiling isn't an option. Some even use the sun to their advantage with solar water disinfection, also known as SODIS. This method involves filling clear bottles with water and leaving them in direct sunlight for several hours. The UV rays from the sun naturally kill bacteria and viruses, making it a great off-grid purification trick. It's not as fast as boiling, but it's free, easy, and requires zero effort beyond setting the bottles out in the sun. And let's not forget about another time-tested method: homemade charcoal filtration. While we already covered how Amish communities use charcoal and sand filtration for large-scale water cleaning, some families create smaller, DIY filters using tightly packed layers of sand, gravel, and charcoal in a simple container. Pour water through and boom! Cleaner, clearer water, free of many impurities. The key takeaway here? The Amish don't rely on just one method to purify their water. They have an entire arsenal of techniques, each suited to different situations. Whether it's boiling, settling, filtering, or using natural disinfectants, they have multiple ways to ensure they always have access to safe, drinkable water, without modern plumbing, electric-powered filters, or bottled water. And honestly, maybe the rest of us should take notes. With the way things are going, knowing how to purify water off-grid isn't just an Amish skill, it's a survival skill. So there you have it. The Amish have been getting clean water for generations, without modern filters, chemicals, or high-tech gadgets. They tap into deep wells, harness gravity, use wind and hand pumps, collect rain, and even rely on natural filtration with sand and charcoal. And the best part? Their water is often cleaner than what comes out of city taps. Maybe the real question isn't how the Amish get clean water without filters, but why more of us aren't doing the same. What do you think? Would you try any of these methods yourself? Let me know in the comments, and if you found this interesting, don't forget to like and subscribe for more eye-opening insights. See you in the next one.